reacted to a virtual meeting between U.S. President Joe Biden and Chinese President Xi Jinping. The virtual meeting between Biden and Xi, which marks the closest communication between the two leaders since Biden took office in January, kicked off on a positive note with cordial remarks. But looking at the individual bourses, Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index closing 1.2% higher, mainland Chinese stocks ending the trading day lower. Japanese stocks closed higher with the Nikkei up 0.1%. U.S. stock index futures little unchanged in early morning trading after the major averages started the week with muted moves as investors digested a jump in yield. To give us a full picture of what's happening on the market side, we are joined by Martin Smith, who is a portfolio manager at Anchor Capital. Martin, thank you so much for your time. Let's talk about, how you're seeing stuff in terms of the global economy, the sentiment, especially as we bring it down locally. What's your sense of what's going on right now?
Well, I think all eyes are firmly on U.S. inflation, and I think that's been the biggest driver of sentiment kind of globally for the better part of this year, I think. But I think things are, and I've been saying this for a while, I guess, so I think things are slowly just ticking up. Music continues to go on. I think equities will continue to grind higher, specifically offshore, where I don't think you have much of a choice from an asset class perspective. But I think, like I have been saying, I think volatility will continue to play a part. I think you will have sentiment swings, but ultimately I think there's still tailwinds for equity, specifically offshore, and we will take our cue from what happens there. Locally, I think we are trying to find a little bit of direction. Yes, we can talk to the fact that our local market is up a massive and significant amount this year. But I mean, basically at the same place we were at kind of February, March. And then we had a little bit of volatility in between. So I think we're still trying to find a bit of direction. But ultimately, I still think that things keep going, and happy to be invested.
How's the Rand holding up, given that we're going into the MPC meeting and there have been some expectations from economists in terms of what we can look forward to, but how's our currency doing?
So currency is probably, I mean, if we look at it fundamentally, 14.50 to 15 Rand is essentially the number that most economists are sort of penciling in, same here at Anchor. So we're slightly ahead of that. And I think a couple of things at play. One, you've had a slightly stronger dollar, kind of counter to what most people have been thinking. Two, you've also had emerging market sentiment also going in the opposite direction. And you've had a couple of surprise rate hikes out of some of the countries as well. People essentially thinking that South Africa might follow suit, which is why Iran's also been weakening a little bit. Whether or not we do have a rate hike, call it this Thursday when the MPC meets, I think it's so evenly split. I mean, I asked our fixed income guy, I said, what do you think? He said, 49% chance they don't hike rates. So I think it's, that they do. So I think it is very, very evenly split. If you look at economists as well, 8 out of the 17 on Bloomberg say that there is going to be a rate hike, and 9 say that there isn't. So I think it's very, very evenly split. The market is actually pricing in one rate hike. So I think if it doesn't happen, I think you'll see the Rand weaken a little bit from there.
Let's talk Vodacom versus MTN. Yesterday, we had Vodacom releasing their financials. MTN has been, hogging the headlines for a while now. They managed to repatriate their funds, and they're doing all kinds of stuff. But looking at the year-to-date performance of these two shares, what assessment are you getting from that? And which of the two would you like? Would you hold? Or is it both?
So I think you were hoping that you'd hold MTN if you looked at what's done the whole year. I mean, it's up 160% for the year to date. Vodacom is up 10% in comparison. So if you'd asked me the question, Vodacom over MTN, a couple of months ago, I still would have said MTN. I like the business. Operationally, it's done very, very well. It continues to do well. They continue to unlock value. For example, their tower deal, they've now had this deal in Nigeria with regards to mobile payments. So all looking very, very positive for MTN, but that being said, it's run incredibly hard. So I think the answer is a little bit more nuanced now for Vodacom versus MTN than it would have been, for example, 2 months, 4 months, 6 months, a year ago. In terms of Vodacom, their results operationally were relatively underwhelming, but they are now starting to kind of do the things and kind of make noises in the right place in terms of unlocking value. You've got the Vumatel deal, you've got the Vodafone deal in Egypt that's also being spoken about as well. So they're starting to do things which is also not maybe starting to make it a little bit more interesting relative to Vodacom. So I don't think it's as easy a call as I would have maybe made, like I said, a few months ago.
So Transaction Capital released their financials this morning. What did you make of the numbers and how did the market react to them?
So Transaction Capital, I mean, it was a very well-flagged set of numbers. They had a trading update out a couple of weeks ago. So we knew what to expect. But I mean, I feel like with this business, you always kind of know what to expect because their management team is just, they're a very, very good management team. It's one we rate very, very highly. They always seem to put the numbers on the board. So you kind of expect this consistent operational performance from these guys. And again, they've delivered. I think you need to see what they're going to do with We Buy Cars in the coming kind of months and years. They've ramped their kind of holding in that up to about 74%, looking to get it to about 100%. So again, I still really like this business. Share price is down slightly, but you have to remember this is a business that's up about 80% for the year so far from a share price perspective. So good numbers, well flagged, maybe a little bit of weakness in the share price due to some profit taking.
Before I let you go, quick one, what other event are you keeping an eye on?
This week, I think for me, the big thing is the MPC. I really want to see what's going to happen there because it's very difficult. I feel like they're in a little bit of a rock and a hard place. You see inflation really starting to tick up. You see other emerging markets, kind of like I said, with some rate hikes. Also, don't underestimate what the price of oil and fuel and how that's affected South Africa is also going to play. But then on the other side, you've got growth concerns, like how are we going to grow ourselves kind of out of or kind of grow our economy? I mean, that was a big part of the budget, the medium-term budget speech last week. So I think that is the big thing for me this week is how does that happen or how does that unfold?
All right, thank you so much for your time. That is Martin Smith, who's a portfolio manager at Anchor Capital, giving us a full picture of what is happening in the markets and also what he's looking out for. Of course, we do have that MPC statement that is due out on Thursday. We will be giving you full coverage on that, so you can tune in when we rather analyze that statement. And I don't know, maybe we might see a rate hike, maybe one this year, maybe we might not. We'll wait and see. We're going to take a quick break.